Hey guys, this is Derik and Sam from the Grid Games, and we are going to be doing a little bit of a preview special for you guys, the new cards on Journey Into Nyx. So, we're going to start off with the God Cycle, because everybody loves those. There have only been two spoiled thus far. The first one is Aroa's God of Victory. 4 mana, 7/4 indestructible, like all the other ones. If your devotion is 7, it is a creature. Creatures you control can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures and prevent all damage that would be dealt to attacking creatures you control. What do you think, Derik?
I really like this god. My major issue is that it's prevent damage instead of indestructible. Indestructible would also at the same time be really strong. It's just its major thing that I notice is that it turns off Reckoner's passive, which is this is Reckoner's best friend, or vice versa. So just that's like my major issue with this card is the lack of cooperation between the two. As for what it does, the main decks that would want to play it are the mono white devotion and the mono red devotion decks that were storming out at one point at just really fast decks, and this was a good finisher to just end the game because they had not many threats to do after the turn 4 to where it got into the late game, and this just would finish it off.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, the ideal curve with some guy like this is like turn 1 Soldier of the Pantheon, Arachnos Cackler, like Precinct Captain, Boros Reckoner, and then this guy's turned on. But, like, it's good with Precinct Captain. It's also very good with Burmaz, in fact. But it's not good with Reckoner, which is, like, the main ingredient in those, like, mono white or mono red decks. Also the Boros decks. And it's not like Boros Burn wants it at all or anything either. Like, it's playable in one type of deck, which is, like, aggressive. And I'd rather have a Johnny or Spear of Heliod at this point. So I'm not actually sure how much constructed play it's going to see, but it's definitely a pretty sweet design.
It will make its way into those decks just for what it does, despite the factor that it turns off. It's making it to where they have to block with 2 or more creatures.
I guess, but if it was indestructible, like, your thing couldn't be Doombladed, and then...
Exactly.
Like, that would be so much better.
That's why I can understand they didn't do that, though. It's just because it gives an indestructible enchantment that makes everything else indestructible.
That's true. All right.
That just preventing damage it really hurts Reckoner.
Yeah, that's true.
Does.
All right, so let's move on to the next one. All right, so here we have Karanos, God of Storms, 5 mana in the Izzet Guild. Again, if your devotion is 7, then it becomes an indestructible creature. So I really like this ability. Reveal the first card you draw on each of your turns. Whenever you reveal a land card this way, draw a card. Whenever you reveal a non-land card this way, Karanos deals 3 damage to target creature or player. So I think the issue is that you're showing them information, but at the same time, like, Prophet of Kruphix, or Courser of Kruphix, sorry, still sees plenty of standard play while you're giving your opponent information, and, like, it's kind of the same where if you reveal a land, you get to draw an extra card, like with Courser, but Courser's dead if you have any other card on top, and this at least is like a lightning bolt on a stick, basically. Plus, it becomes a 6/5 creature, like, and it can only be, like, there are only 2 spells in the format right now that can kill it, like Detention Sphere or Revoke Existence. Maybe Golgari Charm if that becomes a thing. I don't know. I love this guy. What do you think?
He is probably my favorite god that's been printed out of all 12 of them we know of right now, I think.
Yeah.
He is obviously looks to be more on the control-based side. He's drawing you constantly into gas. He's removing the dead card on top of the land. They get to see the top, but like I said, there's Courser of Kruphix in Standard. There's, in Modern, there's Dark Confidant, Legacy, Dark Confidant. That's never been an issue to where card advantage was not worth it. As for its second ability of, if you reveal it, it is potential damage to get quicker to a win con, which control anything to speed up a win con is good. Anything that, for any deck for that matter, to speed up is just a bonus. And the factor it can also be removal by targeting a creature. for 3 mana, free lightning bolts at the beginning of your upkeep. It's very good, along with the red-blue having burn as it is. And counter magic, it can just take someone down really fast and gives them the gas that red-white burn has been struggling with, trying to just make sure they can do is the running out of gas. Mm-hmm. This can fix it for if there ends up being a red-blue deviant that happens because of this card.
Yeah, I mean, like, my favorite deck from a couple Pro Tours back was the deck that Joel Larson top-aided with that Pro Tour Gatecrash, which is like a blue-white-red control shell that didn't kill with creatures, but that killed with burn spells. And the reason it was so good was because all of his removal like could go to the face in the late game. And so the way he won, basically, was like overwhelming with card advantage, 2 and 3 for winning with things like Supreme Verdict and Attention Sphere, and then taking all that removal that he had in his hand and just like pointing it at the opponent. And this guy is really good in a shell like that because when you don't get to draw a card, you just blow up their creature or, bolt them. Or when you have a land on top, you always sigh when you see that land. You just flip it over, show the opponent, smile, get to draw an extra card. I think this guy's going to be really good in a deck with, like, Boros Reckoner, maybe, like a blue-white-red deck. And the reason I say that is because you can go infinite so easily with Reckoner now. Like, you already want to play 4 Boros Charms, 4 Azorius Charms, because you want to be able to, like, point burn at them and, like, tempo them out in combat with Azorius Charm. But now at any point in time, you just flip a non-land, deal 3 to Reckoner, Azorius Charm, Boros Charm, infinite life, I can't lose. Like, especially with a deck that doesn't win with creatures, it's pretty good.
2 things that I want to also point out before this is it is in the same colors as Ralzeric and Chandra Pyromaster.
True.
And on top of that is with how much there is in green, there's a possibility to bring out a rug deck that may just end up working well just with how aggro it can get with everything.
That's true. Like, this...
It doesn't have to be just spells based in order to activate its ability. It can also just be creatures.
That's true.
Of course, there will then also start removing the lands from the top so that you can always hit gas with karanos.
That's also very true. Like, this with Domri Raid and Courser could create some insane board states. Just, like, absolutely insane.
Yeah, at that point, it doesn't matter if you turn it into a creature. It's still giving card advantage when needed and lightning bolting as you please.
That's true. Alright, so next we're going to move on to the first cycle that we have seen so far. Alright, so this is the Dictate cycle, which seems to be a cycle of flash enchantments. This one is the Howling Mine effect, where at the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. What do you think about it?
First of all, I'm just trying to figure out these cards. Okay, they are rares. I wasn't sure if they were rares or uncommons. I have not made a decision. We know this one and the red one. And their abilities are so far awkward because they all affect both players.
Wrong. This one's great with Notion Thief. Moving on to the next one. So here's the red one, and if a source would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. So, you know where this is great, right?
Flash lethal?
Well, that.
Yes.
But Aurelia the War Leader and 5 mana creatures. You tap them all, play this, attack with Aurelia, untap everything, kill them.
So pretty much turn Aurelio into Glissa with infinite combat steps.
Yeah, is that too much to hope for?
Yeah.
Alright, maybe. So, obviously we haven't seen the other 3 of these, but they seem to be pretty cool casual cards that are probably going to be bulk rares for most competitive players, I assume.
I see them making EDH.
Yeah.
I definitely see them making EDH.
That could be interesting. And the flavor text is pretty cool. So,
I didn't even read the flavor text. Erosis and Mogus both on there. What do you know?
Erosis and Mogus are as different in appearance as they are in personality. Alright, so we will now move on to the different mechanics. Alright, so we've already seen proof that Monstrosity and Heroic are both coming back in Journey Into Nyx, but here's one of the new mechanics, Strive. So, Johnny's Presence is a 1-mana instant, and any number of target creatures each get +1/+1 and gain indestructible. So we saw a similar thing with Mortar's Ardor, that was +1/+1 and lifelink, this is +1/+1 and indestructible. And then Strive is, a Johnny's Presence costs 2 and a white more to cast for each target beyond the first. This is a crazy combat trick in Limited. Too expensive to see standard play, but I like the idea. It's kind of like the whole overload thing, like with Counterflux, you know, like counter target spell, or you could pay extra and have it counter like more spells. So I could definitely see cards like this being good, like on a Doomblade, for example, like destroy target non-black creature, or pay 5 and destroy 2 creatures, or 8 and destroy 3. I don't know, what do you think?
I would not or strike this out for standard yet. Obviously, this one is very expensive for what it does, but even if you're doing just 4 mana for 2 targets, like I said, that's great and limited. Now, we also thought same thing, I believe, with Bestow, when we first saw Bestow, of how expensive it was, and then they decided to finally reveal Boon Satyr.
Right.
Which then it was, okay, Bestow is now playable. All it needs is 1 or 2 to make this ability really strong, such as a draw card for each time it's strived, or something like that.
Right, or like a 2-mana lightning bolt, like a lightning strike, but with strive or something.
And then have it be like 2 mana more per time, or 3 mana.
Yeah, that could be really good. Alright, so on to the next mechanic. And here we have the mechanic Constellation. So this is whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. So there's a bunch of Constellation cards. One of them is like whenever enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you draw a card. That one doesn't seem so good. But this one really caught my attention because it goes in Black-White Humans, which is a deck I love. It's super grindy. Which is why I love the deck, because I love just like grinding people into nothing under my feet or whatever. So, I don't know, I think this mechanic could be good. Obviously, probably not playable in standard. Like, even if people do pick up lots of enchantments, like, what are they going to be playing? Like 3 gods and maybe a playset of this guy, and so they're playing like 6 total enchantments in their deck? And like Detention Sphere, maybe? Like, is that enough?
I'm looking more. I am liking the factor that it's giving me hope for a very high enchantment set. Like, that there was rumors at one point that there was going to be an enchantment Academy runes being printed in this set.
That'd be pretty cool.
And this just makes that seem even more like it can happen, and that it gets me more excited about what's to come rather than what it does right now.
Alright, so this is the spoiler season thus far. I think that if we do one of these like for the next 3 weeks just leading up, that'd be pretty cool. So I guess expect one of these each week. Also, around the time of Journey Into Nyx coming out, we're looking to do a giveaway of some sort on the YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe, like, favorite, comment, all of that fun stuff, and we will see you guys next time.